I am Marissa Cascino. I'm a senior editor at Washingtonian, and I am joined today by a panel of local smart home experts. We've got a lot to get into, including what you need to know about the latest technology, all the latest trends, and where to even start if you want to make your own home smarter. And I will be sure to leave some time at the end of our conversation for audience questions. So if you think of anything that you want to ask that we don't get to, be sure to pop it into the Q&A box right at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to as many of those questions as we can. Before we get started, I want to be sure to thank Verizon for supporting this conversation. And with that, I will let our panelists go ahead and introduce themselves quickly before we jump in. So Lance, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Sure. I'm Lance Kunders. I lead the home product portfolio for Verizon. So I take care of like home networks and your set-top boxes and all of that good stuff.
And Anne.
Afternoon. I'm Ann Ferguson. I'm responsible for marketing at alarm.com. We are a DC area-based technology company that specializes in smart home and smart business solutions to include security solutions as well.
Great. William from Pepco.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. William Ellis. I am the Pepco Regional Vice President of Government and External Affairs. In my previous role that I just left, I oversaw our smart home and energy efficiency as well as sustainable energy group for the company. Thanks for having me.
And Brendan, last but not least.
Good afternoon. I'm Brendan Armstrong. I'm the president and founder of Trinity Wiring and Security Solutions. We're a local integrator here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and we work on both the commercial and residential side of integrating smart home technology and other security technology throughout the area. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, thank you guys all again for joining us. I'm excited to get started. So, I think a good place to start might be, what excites all of you about the current environment around smart home technology? I know we've come a long way. It used to sort of be oriented around home alarm systems, or like I have a Nest thermostat in my own home. But I know to have a smart home means a lot more than that these days. So, what excites all of you the most about what's going on, the kind of the latest tech that's available right now? And any one of you can jump in and take this, but Lance, I see you're the one who's unmuted, so I'm going to make you go first.
Okay. Yeah, so sure. Probably the thing that excites me the most is just kind of what I'll call the renaissance in the home, I guess would be the starting point, right? I mean, over the last year, the home has become a much, much more important thing for people. And as a result, the home and the technologies are really becoming kind of at the forefront of a lot of people's minds, and they're investing in these things. And so, if I look at it, it's kind of home in general. And then, I'm a connectivity guy, right? So, from my perspective, a lot of what I do is try and get the home connected. And, advancements in Wi-Fi that we've seen in the last few years are really starting to bring carrier-grade wireless capabilities into the home. And so things like Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E and the new 6 gigahertz band that the FCC's made available for it. All of these are really cool advances that can make the smart home a reality. So that's kind of what's exciting me the most.
Yeah, Marissa, I'll jump in. A couple of things that come to mind for us. I think the opportunity that now exists to have so many different devices actually communicating with one another and working together in the home, which seems like a simple thing, but the backend technology required to enable that is something that's been years and years in the making. But it really does make a tremendous difference in terms of the smart home experience someone can have. Instead of having 18 different apps to control different things, you can have a single solution, and you can have those different products choreographed in a way that really makes the most sense for you and your home.
William, I see you nodding. Is there something you want to add?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I was going to say the possibilities is what excites me. I have a son, he's 10, but he's been used to interacting in a smart home since he was 5, right? I have about 70 smart home devices in my house. And what excites me and what worries me, my son just walks around talking in my home, right? I have an Alexa in every single room. And so my son is living in a world where he thinks if he talks to the air, someone will respond to him. And so that's kind of scary. But, short story is, he's used to things, turning off the lights, locking the doors, those sorts of things. And I was telling him one day, get ready for bed. And he said, Alexa, turn on the shower. And I was like, we don't have that in the house. And I was like, but maybe we should. And the next thing you know, I did some research, Philips, et cetera. But that was like our summer project with me and him, is building a smart shower where you can say, all right, Alexa, set the temperature to 102 degrees, or Alexa, turn on the shower. But I think, for me, it's that excitement that kids will leverage this smart home in so many additional ways than we have thought of just right now. So it's still a growing market that is going to be really exciting to see for years to come.
I agree, Marissa. Williams Home is probably as smart as the Alarm.com smart home here in Virginia. But I think, more and more people are spending time in the home, and they're looking for the comfort, convenience, and they want the security. And I think bringing that to a reality, it allows us to work with, I think, everybody on the call today in making that happen. And the strength of the network and the reliability of the network to allow a lot of these devices to effectively communicate and work properly is critical. And it's a very, very exciting time for the consumer.
So where does the average consumer even start? Because I mean, William, you sound like you've got like the total hookup at your house, but that sounds a little bit overwhelming to me. Like how would I, as an average, not particularly tech savvy homeowner, even start, in making my house as smart as it could be, but not too smart, not smarter than me.
Nice. I would say definitely we have the experts on this phone, Verizon, Alarm.com, right? You can start at so many different places. That's why it's very nice to see. You can start with security. You can start with comfort. As a energy company, we're looking at comfort, right? How do we help you save money on your energy bills? How do we add more flexibility in your lifestyle so that you can do the things that you love the most? And that's family, friends, vacations, right? How do we make it so that, we can make your life easier? And to me, that starts our vision for the smart home starts at the smart thermostat. Heating and cooling on average is 60 to 70% of your energy bill. And if we can automate schedules, make your life easier, participate in different programs, having a smart thermostat is a necessity. And so we created programs strictly to address that need within our homes in the district, in Maryland, and our other service territories, of getting this smart thermostat in every one of our customers' homes.
Anyone else want to jump in on that one before we move on?
Sure.
In terms of the places to start, there are obviously a tremendous number of DIY types of solutions available. You can go pick products from Amazon, you can go to Best Buy, get a whole host of different products, but actually getting those things to work together and understanding if they've got communication protocols that are common, that's definitely more a job for a pro. So one of the things that we strongly advocate is talking to a smart home, smart security expert. Have them come into your home and take a look, because they can provide really phenomenal feedback on what devices are going to make the most sense for you, and importantly, where you place them, right? So things like the placement of a video camera is going to be critical to being able to really utilize analytics that might be a part of that camera experience as well. So would definitely encourage folks to talk with someone like Brendan and get that really expert consultation before diving in.
Yeah, Brendan, what is it, if somebody calls you, the typical homeowner, what is it that your company can provide them right off the bat in terms of helping them get set up?
Sure, great question. I mean, in addition to what William emphasized, which is the HVAC system, we take it to lighting, locks, garage door control, obviously smart doorbell, and then video cameras strategically positioned if one desires throughout the home. But we also get into leak detection, the monitoring of smoke, heat, and carbon to really bring the full solution to the home environment. And on the subject of DIY, a lot of my guys, and I'm not the expert, my people are, the guys and gals that I work with are a lot better than I am, but they say DIFY, we'll do it for you. Because to Ann's point, people, sometimes technology can be a little confusing and challenging. So when we're able to come into the home and really assist and consult the client in a comforting way, it's a real good experience, and our customers seem to appreciate it.
One thing that I think people have a lot of worries and concerns about is the security issue, in terms of, I think there's this perception out there that, a spy in Russia or China can hack into your home if you set up too much of this technology, and suddenly, somebody other than you is going to be turning your shower up to 110 degrees. Is that perception overblown at all, or is that a real concern? I mean, what is what's sort of the state of making sure these things are safe to have in our homes?
So maybe I'll take that one as a connectivity guy. I think it is overblown somewhat by kind of Hollywood and the things that we do, but it is a very real issue. I think the part that most people don't realize is most hackers are generally not looking to use your home network to spy on you. In most cases, it's really to use devices in your home to attack and use them as botnets, is what they call them. But it is really important that as consumers, when all of these devices, these IoT devices that you buy, many of them are not, they were built, they may not have the same level of support and security. And it's important you do things like use good passwords. I can't tell you how many people out there, are still using devices where they have the default password that came from the manufacturer. You don't want to do that, right? You want to set up good passwords. You want to make sure you've got a good home network security solution, right? And one of the things for our Fios customers in your footprint, we do have a service that's free. It's called Home Network Protection. You can turn it on in the MyFios app, and it gives you advanced security that will kind of help you with monitoring those devices and let you know when devices are out there, and lets you isolate a device that might be acting strangely to keep them from causing problems. And so I think it is important that you need to have good home network security. But I don't think it's I don't think you have a whole lot of people out there trying to look into your homes. There are probably a few, but that's not our biggest problem out there. Our biggest problem is how they use the home for other things.
For whatever it's worth, our customers tell us, especially in this area, we have a lot of federal government associated employees, and the issue of home network security is paramount, based upon the feedback that we get. And one of the main reasons, in addition to the pleasure of working directly with Ann, is the partnering with Alarm.com and their encrypted platform. And I have to tell you, that wins us business. It gives our customers comfort. And in addition to the technology, Lance, that Verizon Fios brings to the table, complemented on top of that, just an extra layer of protection really and truly makes the families and businesses that we support very, very confident that their information as well as video is being protected.
And why don't you tell us a little bit more about your platform, since Brendan was nice enough to give you a little plug there.
We definitely appreciate working with Brendan and the whole team at Trinity. It's a great operation, and we're lucky to have them in the DC area, actually. Marissa, one of the things I think is important for people to think about, in addition to just the network security, and completely agree with what Lance was saying, we as consumers have got to take responsibility for our own protection as well, right? So doing things like having strong passwords, enabling multi-factor or two-factor authentication wherever it's available. Those are simple but really powerful steps for consumers. But also think about how the company or the products that you're using are going to be utilizing the data associated with it, right? And so we're talking about billions of data points that are being collected across, hundreds of thousands of homes, millions of homes at this point. And how is that data being used? And different companies will use it differently, right? We're all in business for different reasons. So I would just encourage folks to really think about that. From an Alarm.com perspective, we were founded based on security and providing security for your home and your family. We've since grown to smart home and smart businesses as well. But for us, the data is all about ensuring that your property stays safe and helping you to have an easy, seamless smart home or smart business experience. And as such, we don't sell that data to others.
You got one of you, I think it was maybe William, touched on the importance of kind of the eco-friendliness of this. I mean, that smart home technology can be a way to, lessen our carbon footprints and sort of lower our energy use. Why don't we talk a little bit about that and sort of that as a benefit of this technology, and how homeowners can kind of use this stuff to make themselves, better earth friendlier citizens.
Yeah, I'll jump in there, Marissa. That's a great point. With our smart home program and what will we doing generally as an energy company, I like to focus on the customer and 3 C's of the customer, and that's cost, and as Brendan alluded to, comfort and convenience. COVID and the pandemic has created a number of challenges for our customers, and one of those is cost. We've seen how the pandemic has hit families across the country, even within our region. And from that, energy costs has increased. Why? Because customers are at home. And so we've seen costs increase upwards of 10% for our residential customers because they're home more, their kids are virtual from school, they're using more energy. And so our program and our tips is focused on how do we save customers money at home. And so whether that's smart thermostats, smart strips, smart plugs, you name it, right, to be able to control and turn off those devices when they're not in use, we're trying to ensure that customers can afford their energy usage and make smarter choices. That's really important. And at the same time, right, when they save energy, they're reducing their carbon footprint and they're creating these tangible wins for the environment and the communities in which they live. And we're also looking at another cool thing we're evaluating is also smart blinds. So we're looking at creating incentives for smart blinds, right? It's probably a newer home technology, and folks be like, why do you need smart blinds in your home? But we know that, especially even in the wintertime, right? The sun shines very powerful during the wintertime. So if you can leverage that thermal heat to come and heat your home, right? That free energy from the sun to come in and heat your home, leveraging blinds to open up, give you in that natural sunlight, warming up your home, instead of running your heat pump or your furnace, that can save customers meaningful dollars. And so we're really looking at this to address one thing, a couple of things, whether that's greenhouse gas emissions, but also equity. We know that, again, certain populations, minorities, the Black and brown communities have been hit, very hard during this pandemic. And so we want to make sure that the benefits of smart home and as well as just the clean energy transformation as a whole, those benefits are being given down to those communities who need our help the most. And so energy efficiency and smart home products is a way that we can do that.
And how can, no, go ahead, Brendan.
To William,
go ahead.
William's point, I think it's an excellent point. We're also seeing a lot of our customers across the board capture additional savings with their insurance companies when they have monitored leak detection devices, monitored fire, as well as monitored security. And in each one of those categories, depending upon your insurance provider, you'll get some home insurance discounts applied to your premium. So customers are really focused on the economics today. I agree with you, William. And this is a way we try to work with our clients to say, hey, please go back to your insurance company and we'll give you a certificate letting them know that you have a monitored solution in place and they're capturing those savings. So it's really important that we help our customers along the path.
The blinds thing, that's kind of a cool idea. And that sounds like something that, almost anybody could put into their homes. Are there other products that come to mind for you guys when you're thinking about the smart home novice, places to start, things that you can, like products that you can buy to sort of get your feet wet and get comfortable with this concept?
I can jump in there. What we see with our customers is they may start with a very basic package, but all these solutions are quite scalable, and there's bolt-ons along the way. So you may not start off with everything in your solution, but as time goes on, whether it's smart shades or you're adding additional cameras or water protection or smoke and carbon protection, we see these systems continue to expand as time goes on because customers are experiencing the benefits. And let's face it, they have a lot of technology in the cars that they drive. We're bringing that technology into the home. And a lot of the smart technology already exists. If you bought a car today, it's built in. And we're providing the dashboard and then the technology to enjoy those same services in the home.
That's an interesting comparison. The fact that a lot of us are already driving cars without thinking about it, that have this type of technology built into them. What is the learning curve here? I think there's, there a lot of people might be intimidated by this, thinking that, well, gosh, I might put all these gadgets into my house and then it's going to take me 10 years to figure out how to actually make them all do what they're supposed to do. So what should, the typical consumer anticipate in terms of being able to actually get up and running and feel confident using this stuff in your own home?
So I think that's a fantastic point. That's one of the things that we hold responsibility for as service providers, is ensuring that the customer experience is as easy as possible, right? So when someone like Brendan comes into the home, they're trying to make sure that all the technical aspects are covered and that schedules are set up in a way that might work for you, that all those products are, again, working together well for you, so that for the consumer, it really is as easy as opening up your phone, tapping on an app, making small adjustments if you want to. I think we owe it to consumers to make sure that that experience is truly smart and not overly complex for them. And a lot of time and effort, I'm sure for all of us, goes into crafting that consumer experience.
I would throw a little in here. I mean, I think there's kind of two smart homes that we see emerging, right? There's the kind of what I'll call professionally installed smart home, which is the land of both Brendan and Ann. And then there's the DIY folks who, they buy a smart light bulb at Home Depot and then they want to go install that. And I think, they're two different kind of learning curves is the way I would describe it. But I think we're trying to solve, obviously with what Ann and Brendan do, they really simplify that. They give that white glove professional installation for a customer. In the DIY space, we are doing things around making it easier to get devices added to Wi-Fi, trying to we tend to partner at Verizon. We're not trying to go build our own smart home ecosystem. We enable the other ecosystems that exist out there. And so a lot of it is working with those partners, whether it's an Amazon or a Google or a Ring or an alarm.com, to figure out how we enable their devices to be much, easily integrated into the home network is what we're really trying to go there. But I think the learning curve has come down a lot, even on the DIY side over the last few years. And they usually start small, like what William said, they start with a smart thermostat, or they start with a smart light bulb or a light plug or something like that. And from what we've seen, it gets a little addictive. And then the next thing you know, they go from having 3 devices to having 80 devices. And, that's kind of the cycle that we see.
So I have another question for you then, Lance, building on that. 80 devices, that seems like it might take up a lot of internet bandwidth. And, I'm sitting at home right now. I know a lot of people are working from home right now. Yep. I'm on a Zoom call. I can hear my husband is on a conference call in the other room. We're all using all of this internet already. So what is the implication of, adding these other technologies onto your home network, and how do you sort of make sure that you're not going to max out your home's capacity?
Yeah, the good news, obviously, one of the things I always tell people is, before you can have a smart home, you have to have a well-connected home, because, smart home is really dependent on having good connectivity. And, to your point, COVID has turned up the contrast setting a lot on what is good connectivity in the home. It used to be, as long as you could stream your video and listen to music and do those sorts of things, that was really what you were trying to go do. And, most internet connectivities didn't struggle with that. But what we are seeing in this kind of post-COVID world is, there is real big differences in people who have great connectivity and people who have good. And it's 2 main things that contribute to that. One is, we never used to need download speeds. right? If you think about internet, excuse me, we never needed to use upload speeds. We needed download because we were bringing video or watching web pages, but upstream wasn't important. And you see there's a lot of internet service providers that are very asymmetrical. They have, you know, a lot more download than they have upload. And that's where you see people who are stuttering today, right? And you know, it's one of the advantages that we bring with Fios fiber is that you get speeds that are as fast up as they are down for the most part. And so you get a lot more of that, and it works better for things like WebEx, et cetera. The other thing is you've got to have a great home network. I mean, a lot of people are still dealing with Wi-Fi gear that is, you know, 5, 6, 10 years old. And the newer Wi-Fi stuff that enables kind of extenders to give you full coverage to the home has become really, really important, right? It used to be you might just have one home router, and then, you know, unless you had someone like Brendan wiring up, you know, your other parts of your house, you probably didn't have whole home connectivity. That's starting to change. And, you know, we launched a new router back in 2019 that was our first Wi-Fi 6 router that's gotten really great response from the market. But we also launched with it extenders so that you can extend that signal throughout your home. And it's really important as you go to a smart home, it's not just connectivity in one room. You need it throughout the home, and you need it to be very reliable connectivity. And so from our perspective, those are the things you need to get done. You know, speeds are important, but I think in general, most people are not going through their download speeds. It's really their upstream speeds that are the biggest problem, and it's their Wi-Fi speed that's the bigger issue out there. So getting those solved is the way I think you get momentum.
And speaking of the pandemic, I'm curious if any of you have noticed any sort of smart home trends or sort of new, you know, even new technologies that have come out of the pandemic, just given that we're all using our houses in such different and expanded ways these days. And I see you nodding. Do you have something in mind there?
Absolutely. I mean, there've been a couple of things that have been really, really interesting that have unfolded over the past 12 months. The explosion that we've seen in video usage has been really incredible. I mean, for a long time, if someone was getting video in their home, it tended to just be outside, really for perimeter protection. But now folks are starting to really lean much more so into video inside the home as well. And use cases are things like, I am upstairs, my kids are in school downstairs. I like to be able to just grab my phone and peek in on them to make sure that they're actually in class and doing what they're supposed to do. There have also been some really strong and I think very positive upticks in the use of things like our Wellcam, which allows you to be able to communicate not just via voice, but via video with parents who might be living independently. So trying to provide more of that connectivity for families has been really important. And then when we talk about video, we have to mention the doorbell. I mean, incredible explosion in that category. And one of the things that we just rolled out is actually a touchless doorbell, which we had in the works long before the pandemic, but certainly is even more highly valued at this point.
So wait, how does that work if you don't actually ring it? How
It's
does it know you're there?
it's video analytics enabled. So if someone stands in the correct window, if you will, and beside the door, then you're automatically going to get a notification to your phone that the doorbell is ringing, that someone's there.
Wow.
Also great for parents of infants who are napping.
What about sort of the future? You know, when you guys are thinking about where this technology is headed, you know, what do you see as sort of the future of all of this innovation and kind of where we might be going next?
I would jump in there. You know, I think making it really user-friendly for somebody who may have a half a dozen different devices or as many as William and his family with 80, having a very user-friendly dashboard that allows you to control and communicate with those devices in a safe and protected way. I think based upon the feedback that we get from our clients, they like that simplicity. They don't want to be bouncing around a half a dozen different apps to look in on the different technologies. And if it can be on one defined dashboard that is easily operated and convenient from a smartphone and or a home controller, that appears to be there's a greater user experience and it becomes part of everyday life.
Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry.
William. I was actually going to jump to you next and ask what you guys are thinking about at Pepco on this front.
Yeah, and to Brendan's point, I think the future of smart home, for me, this future of smart home revolves around automation, right? I think this the purpose and the vision of the smart home and what it's enabled to accomplish is that is not a lot of burden on the customers, right? You set it up and it works for the customer so that they can go about living their life the way they want to work with, right? And so when we talk about the learning curve, right, to me, smart home is all about doing things for the customer how they see fit. And our programs that we're looking at rolling out is how do we create that lifestyle to meet them where they're at, where the customer is at, right? We won't want them to do extra things. I don't want you having to check your phone 10 times more, right? Everyone is already plugged into their phone. I want to send you alerts, meaningful interactions to let you know that things are happening. And hopefully your smart home is already doing it for you. So for instance, for us, if there is a peak energy day where the grid is really constrained, and we're seeing that in Texas now, right, where the grid is constrained, I want to send you an alert that says, hey, if you want to turn down your thermostat a couple degrees or delay washing this last cycle of clothes for a couple of hours, I can incentivize you with an extra $5 off your bill. And a customer may say yes, they may have already signed up for the program. And so how do we just give those alerts and those automations to where customers can take advantage of this smart home equipment and help them save money? And also what it does for the grid is increases the flexibility of the grid so that you're not having these really huge peak days. Everyone's not overloading their air condition or charging their electric vehicle at the same time, right? In the future, when everyone has an EV or majority of customers have an EV, that's, one EV in a home is 3 EVs is adding a whole house, right? And so you can imagine how many houses you add in a neighborhood when you get to 300, 400,000, a million EVs on the road. And so we don't want to have to build extra distribution and electrical equipment to handle that. We want to make sure that they're charging their vehicle, not at the same time that their air conditioner is running in full blast. And so we'll give them a signal that say, hey, we know you're home, but you may not use that EV until the next morning. So don't charge it at 5 p.m. when you're coming straight home from work. How about let's charge it at midnight, and we'll ensure that you have the capacity and the charge to get you back and forth to work. And so those types of alerts and automation is really where I see the industry really growing and giving that customer experience that Ann was mentioning.
And
I'll
to be
take
clear,
another.
just before we move on really quick, I wanted to clarify with William, those incentives are things that people can sign up for right now with your current pilot program?
That's correct. We have numerous programs and incentives that are all about reducing the carbon footprint across our region, as well as helping customers save money. And so we have peak energy savings programs where you can sign up to allow us to cycle off your thermostat, where you can determine to use smart home during a certain day to delay washing your dishes or using your washing machine or running your AC. So a number of different programs and ways where we've created meaningful alerts to let you know when is the best time to use energy and when is the best time to save.
And where do people find out more about that on Pepco's website?
Yeah, really easy. www.pepco.com/save energy. And again, /save energy. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, Lance, I think I may have cut you off there.
No, I was just going to kind of riff a little bit on what William was talking about. I think he was getting at kind of what I'll call a generic trend of the future for smart home, which is about being more proactive, right? Quit being reactive and just responding to what they ask for. Start helping them in ways that don't feel creepy, but you essentially are saving time for people every day, right? And I think being much smarter about kind of your own lifestyle, what's going on, we're seeing, the early examples of this were smart thermostats that were knowing when you were home and when you were not home. I think, more and more the home environment's going to get proactive just to save you time and reduce stress in your life. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Lance is saying there, and would just note that this is a place where artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly important as well. So it allows us to, just as William was saying, make the home work for the consumer. So a quick example would be something that we call unexpected activity alerts, where we're able to learn what normal activity looks like in your home. And then let's say the patio door opens at 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, and that's not normal, you're automatically going to get an alert. You didn't have to set up a special rule for that. You didn't have to think through all those different possible permutations. The home learned and it responded proactively accordingly.
We see that operate on a daily basis when our smart home consumers retire for the evening and they go into the sleep environment, where the system automatically makes sure that all the doors are properly locked and secured, the garage door is down, certain lighting is either turned off and or turned on for the evening, thermostats automatically adjusted, and all these things happen for you automatically with either pre-settings or artificial intelligence based upon your life patterns. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think both Ann and Brendan were right on with artificial intelligence and what it can enable for the customer without being intrusive. And for our smart thermostat program, we offer a service that customers want to enroll that we give complimentary, where we overlay artificial intelligence onto their smart thermostat. So we monitor things like the weather. And so if we know there's going to be a sunny day, we can turn that thermostat down just a couple degrees for you automatically into energy savings mode to help you save an extra $3-4 on your monthly bill. Now that may not seem like a lot today, but if that happens, 10 or 20 times over the course of the year, those are significant savings for that particular customer. But they don't notice it. That's the great thing about it. They don't notice any change in their home comfort because we're leveraging these outside technologies, whether we're looking at weather reports and understanding the sun and trajectory of the locations, or looking at when do we need to do things like pre-cool your home. And so for us, if we know that 5 to 8 p.m. is a peak time, right, and that's going to cost customers extra money, we can pre-cool your home starting at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. so that during that peak time, you're not using your air conditioner or you're not running your furnace. And that can save you money just by delaying, or what we call shifting, that load to a different time, which is cheaper, similar to your EV. And so I think that's where that artificial intelligence is we're acting on behalf of the customer, helping them save money, helping them accomplish their goals, and allowing them to do the things that they like to do.
And
Very cool.
Just to add on to what William shared, many of our customers take advantage of the Geo Fencing technology that Alarm.com has available, right, through GPS. So I could have my home set up where a lot of those things don't happen until I'm a mile away from my residence. And then things start to happen and the home is preparing for my arrival. And it's customers love it because they may not be home at 6 o'clock when we do get back to work. They may stop out for dinner or a drink or whatever, and it's all based upon your proximity to your home. So it's depending upon how far a customer wants to go and the conveniences that they want to afford. It's much of that technology is coming at us if not already there.
Well, I am going to jump to some audience questions now because they are piling up. We've got a very engaged group here, which is awesome. So the first question I have here is, what smart technologies would you recommend for older homeowners to make their lives simpler without a lot of added complication? That's a good question. Anyone want to jump in and take that one?
I will tell you what we do. I mean, I have seen a general, from a market research perspective, that older customers do really like the touchscreen smart display type things, like the Amazon Echo Shows, etc. It gives them a lot of value. They can help with like recipes. It can help with timers. It can remind you when to take your pills, all of those sorts of things. And it's a pretty simple device to get and go activate in your home. So, whether that's like a Google Assistant or an Echo Show, or whether it's one of the custom solutions that come from players like Alarm.com, I think that's one that a lot of older folks like. I think the other one that we're spending a fair amount of time. We have a product called Caresmart, which is really about helping to do fall detection. One of the things that we don't remember is that most falls are happening in the home, And so I think there's a lot of innovation that can go on there to help older people be more independent and not being worrying about what happens if I fall or whatever. And it's getting much smarter for how you can do those kind of things. And so that's another product that I think works really well with the older folks who want that independence, but by the same token, they want that security.
This is a good one. This person is doing a huge home renovation, wants to know what they can do to the infrastructure to make their home smart and add value. So if you're in the middle of a renovation right now, what are the things you should be thinking about adding as you go? Maybe Brendan or Ann could, yeah, there you go.
As Lance referred, the importance of the network is critical in new home construction. We support many of the top builders in the area, and we wire a couple of thousand homes a year. Cat6 technology, the Cat6 cabling is paramount to support the speeds that Lance and company are delivering to the doorstep, and strategically positioning many of those drops to allow you to enhance the wireless network in the most reliable way is really, really important. If I were building a new home today, I would also wire for points of connectivity like cameras, as well as networking devices such as wireless access points to ensure a complementary network as well as reliability for video services. And then, of course, as it pertains to the display screen, making sure that you're wiring for sound enhancement and or making sure that we're able to supply and support some of the future technologies that Lance and company will be bringing at us, like 8K and picture quality like we've never seen before in the home.
Here's a good one. With technology always evolving, this person says they're worried and stressed out that their devices are going to get outdated fast. Can you provide some guidance for how often people should be upgrading their device?
Yeah, I can provide a little bit of commentary there. It is absolutely a legitimate concern. And I think consumers, we all know that we update, these devices pretty regularly, and it's actually good that people are thinking about the fact that, any hardware is going to have a half-life, right? It's only going to work for so long, which is why it's incredibly important to look at devices and providers who can do things like over-the-air upgrades, so that you can extend the life of that device, and hopefully it keeps getting better and better for you, right? So what you really want is a system that is not aging from the day that you put it in the home, but actually is getting better for you over time as well.
This person wonders about sort of the different silos of devices. So they say it seems like there are a lot of different silos of devices between Google and Amazon and all of these different things. Is there any move to some standard, to simplify things? No.
I can briefly touch on that. There are a lot of conversations that are happening across this space among the different providers, many of whom are competitors, around standards, and could there be a single standard or a set of standards that people are coding to? So there's a relatively new chip initiative that is along those lines as well. So we're not there. Will we get there? I don't know is my honest answer. But that's definitely a topic of, I would call it a hot topic of conversation among a lot of the technology providers for sure.
Yeah, and I would say as a partner of Alarm.com, they've worked very closely with different lock manufacturers and device and security panel manufacturers that their platform can easily support. So we find it's a very scalable, we eliminate the silos as a result of using the platform that Alarm.com makes available to our company and our clients. And we bring it all together on the platform.
Okay, I think we've got time for one more, and this is a relevant one given everything that's happening in Texas and our weather today. Climate issues make me think about power. What happens when you lose it and your home is very connected? What what happens then? Are these things that you guys build into your solutions? You know, or maybe Anne and Brendan that you discuss with clients? You know, about what to do if your home is usually very automated and all of a sudden that automation is not available.
Yeah, so certainly a point of strong consideration. I'll let Brendan and William discuss that as well. I will note that for the overwhelming majority of Alarm.com subscribers, they are dealing with cellular communication into and out of the home. So it's not as reliant on Wi-Fi or on power. We really believe that for life safety, having that cellular connection provides you with the best opportunity to never lose that connection, which is so critical.
Yeah, and then the panels that support that cellular technology have battery backup. So they perform for the time period of anywhere between 12 and 24 hours for many of the devices. But certainly when there's a video device, internet is required. So if internet goes down and you don't have any kind of backup from a power standpoint, and you know, you could be exposed.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say, I mean, we do offer battery backups for connectivity for people who are wired, like with FiOS today. I mean, their point about the wireless is also that's helpful. But I mean, it is possible to do battery backups on the infrastructure. And one of the unique things about a fiber network is it's completely passive from where it goes to your home all the way back to the central office at Verizon, which has, you know, generators to keep it online in an outage. So one of the big things that I loved when we had our outages here up in New Jersey, where I live, during the tropical storm stuff last year, is people with FiOS customers, most of them, if they had whole home generators or battery backups, they were still doing just fine with connectivity because it is very reliable all the way from the home back to the central office.
Yeah, and I think what we see is the importance of how connectivity, power all plays together, right? All of these are so critical resources, whether it's power, it's water, it's connectivity, and some of the things that we've been doing just to address that is creating what we call resiliency hubs, and this not necessarily smart home, right? But it's connected because you can have all of these smart home devices, or you can have battery backup. But if every device needs electricity to turn on, you're not going to be able to use your smart home to do anything, right? Your washing machine isn't going to work. Your thermostat isn't going to work. Your computer isn't going to work. Even though you may have battery backup connectivity, you may be able to use your cell phone until that charge discharges. But power is so essential to what we do every day. And so we've started to create these resiliency hubs for the community to ensure that we can leverage microgrid type of technology to ensure that critical services within our communities can stay on 24/7, whether that's hospitals or grocery stores, fire and police stations, community centers, right? How do we ensure that the critical services of those communities exist? Understanding that climate change is real. Storms are becoming more severe. We see it all across our country, whether it's the West Coast, Midwest, and even here on the East Coast with like Superstorm Sandy and some of the other derecho events. But it's how do we harden our system and be prepared for that? But definitely understand that questions concerns that, without power, this technology doesn't work for us.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys so much again for joining. And thank you again to Verizon for making this conversation possible today. And thank you to all of our audience members at home for tuning in and being such an engaged group. If any of you missed any part of the conversation today, or you want to tell friends about it, there will be a video of it up on washingtonian.com very soon. And also please be sure to follow all of Washingtonian's social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so you can stay up to speed on all of our future virtual events.